how did you get into the union, Todd?
So right after graduating from high school, I didn't have it all figured out. Didn't know what I wanted to do with my future. Growing up in Montana and where I lived in Billings, there wasn't a lot of opportunity there. There was a sugar beet factory. I knew I didn't want to work in the sugar beet factory. I also, really enjoyed being outdoors, hunting, fishing, that kind of stuff. So I like doing things with my hands. So I knew right away I wanted to do something with my hands. I got an opportunity to spend some time with an aunt and uncle who lived in Oregon, and my uncle introduced me to the glass trade.
So once you got into the union, you knew right away that it was a good fit?
Yeah, I would say so. I was fortunate enough. I had a really good mentor that was a shop foreman there. In fact, we just heard recently that Jerry had passed away. Jerry Thomas, great guy. As a matter of fact, I put in a 2-week notice, and I was going to move back to Montana. I couldn't afford the rent initially out on my own. So 1 week into that notice, Jerry came to me out in the shop and he said, "Todd, you're a good worker. You show up every day. I'd like to keep you around. What if I gave you a $3 an hour raise?" And we went from $7 an hour to $10. Would you stick around? I said, absolutely.
And that decision's lasted.
Yeah, I started in September of '92, and here we are in, 2026 already? So 34 years. I will tell you, it's done a lot for my family. I think the biggest thing is it gave a running track for someone, a young person, to go, have a great career. And, at the end of the day, we were able to raise a family, buy a home, basically have the American dream. And to me, over the course of the last 10, 12 years, it's just been all about giving it back to the union for that opportunity and creating that running track for other folks.
You say 10 or 12 years. What's that 10 or 12 years you're talking about?
So in 2014, actually started in 2013, I came into the local to pay some dues, and spoke to the business rep at the time, Jerry Fisher, different Jerry, but another Jerry that was a mentor of mine. Anyways, he was our business agent, and he asked me if I would apply for the organizing position. So I did, and here we are, 12 years later.
And what's kept you here all these years?
So in the union, absolutely the benefits, huge deal. As a young man, when I met my wife, she had 2 children already, so benefits were important. They were critical for our family to keep health insurance for the kids. And as I got, stuck around for a little while, and I'd see those pension statements come every year, that was definitely one of the things that definitely kept me with the union.
What would you say to the next people who might be sitting in that chair?
It could definitely be you. I think number one, there's just a few things that you need to self-apply to the track that I talked about. Basically, there's already a running track. You just need to apply a work ethic, your ability to get along with folks. I think above and beyond that is, a real desire to be part of something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick. When you say something bigger than yourself, what is that something?
Well, as I see it now, at the time when I was a young man, bigger than myself was my family. But I think that's still pretty self-centered, if you will. Over the course of the last decade plus, being an organizer, business rep, and now the business manager, I see it as the ability to change folks' lives. And it's our duty to ensure that this union's bigger and stronger than it was when we got here.
Last question. How do we do that?
Well, I believe wholeheartedly the number one thing we need to do is engage our members. as a business rep, I seen it firsthand, the power of our folks collectively. There was a project that the carpenters were doing the glass work, and our members were able to organize on the project and have communication with everybody on the job site, and knew that, okay, they're coming after our work today, but it's going to be electrical work tomorrow. It's going to be iron work the day after that. So the elevator constructors, the sheet metal workers, everybody collectively on the job stood up to that issue that was on the job and basically walked off the job.
What do you call that?
I call that collective action. I call that solidarity. I call that unionism 101.